Have you ever heard a story so shocking that you could not believe it was true? Imagine a president, the most powerful man in the country, choosing to become a prisoner. Imagine him leaving his palace, his guards, and his comfortable life to live among the poorest and most forgotten people. Why would he do this? What did he hope to find? This is the story of President Ibrahim Traoré, and what happened next will surprise you again and again. President Ibrahim Traoré was not like other leaders. He was young, full of energy, and always thinking about his people, but he did not trust the reports from his ministers. He did not believe the fancy speeches. He wanted to see the truth with his own eyes. He wanted to know how the poorest people lived, how the prisoners survived, and what life was really like outside the palace walls. He wanted to feel their pain and understand their struggles. So, he made a secret plan. He would pretend to be a poor man. He would get himself arrested. He would live as a prisoner. No one would know he was the president. He wanted to see the world from the bottom, not the top. He told his secret plan to only one person. Her name was Mama Cuddy. She was old, wise, and had always given him good advice. When she heard his plan, she was shocked. She said, "This is too dangerous. You could die. You could be lost forever." But President Traoré said, "If I do not do this, I am not a real leader. I must know the truth." Mama Cuddy finally agreed to help him. She gave him old clothes. She put dust on his face. She told him, "Remember who you are. Even when things get hard, do not lose hope." Early one morning, before the sun came up, President Traoré left his palace. He walked through the city, feeling nervous but excited. No one recognized him. He saw people sleeping on the ground, children with empty stomachs, women working hard for little money, and men arguing about football. He felt sad, but he also felt strong. He knew he was doing the right thing. To make his plan work, President Traoré went to a busy market. He took a piece of bread from a stall and waited for someone to notice. Soon, a shopkeeper shouted, "Thief! Thief!" The guards came and grabbed him. They did not know he was the president. They took him to the police station and then to the House of Shadows, the worst prison in the city. The prison was dark, dirty, and full of fear. The guards were rough and did not care about the prisoners. The food was bad, and the water was dirty. Many prisoners were sick. Some had been there for years without a trial. President Traoré felt scared, but he remembered his mission. He wanted to see how the prisoners lived and what they needed. In the prison, he met many people. There was Boubacar, a man who loved to tell stories. He was in prison because he spoke out against the government. There was Awa, a kind woman who helped the sick prisoners. She was in prison because she could not pay her debts. There was Musa, a young boy who stole bread to feed his family. President Traoré listened to their stories every night. He learned that many people in prison were not bad. They were just unlucky or poor. One day, a big fight broke out in the prison yard. The guards did nothing to stop it. President Traoré saw that the prisoners were angry because they were hungry and tired. He tried to calm them down. He said, "We are all suffering. We must help each other, not fight." Some prisoners listened to him. They started to share their food and water. They helped the sick and the weak. Slowly, the prison became a little better. But life in prison was still very hard. The guards were cruel. They beat the prisoners for no reason. They took bribes from the rich prisoners and ignored the poor ones. President Traoré saw all of this. He felt angry, but he could not show it. He wrote down everything he saw in a small notebook he hid under his mattress. One night, a fire started in the kitchen. The smoke filled the prison. The guards ran away, leaving the prisoners locked inside. Many prisoners screamed for help. President Traoré did not panic. He shouted, "We must work together. Break the windows. Pass water." The prisoners listened to him. They broke the windows and passed buckets of water to put out the fire. They saved many lives that night. When the guards came back, they were surprised to see the prisoners working together. After the fire, the prisoners respected President Traoré. They called him the Wise One. They asked him for advice. He helped them solve their problems. He taught them to read and write. He listened to their dreams and hopes. He told them, "Never give up. One day, things will get better." But soon, the guards became suspicious. They wondered why the new prisoner was so smart and brave. They started to watch him closely. One day, the warden came to the prison with some government officials. They said they were looking for a spy. The warden pointed at President Traoré and said, "Who are you really? Tell us the truth." The prisoners were scared. They did not want to lose their friend. President Traoré stood up and said, "I am Ibrahim Traoré. I am the president of Burkina Faso. I came here to see the truth with my own eyes." The guards and officials were shocked. They could not believe it. The prisoners cheered. They shouted, "Long live the president." President Traoré said, "I have seen your pain. I promise to change things. No one will be forgotten." After he left the prison, President Traoré went back to the palace. He called all his ministers and told them what he had seen. He said, "We must change our prisons. We must help the poor. We must listen to the people." He made new laws to protect the rights of prisoners. He built new schools and hospitals. He gave jobs to people who had been in prison. He made sure that everyone had a second chance. The story of President Traoré spread across the country. People were amazed by his courage. They said, "He is a true leader. He cares about us." Children learned about him in school. Old people told his story around the fire. The country became more united and hopeful. But President Traoré did not stop there. He visited the families of the prisoners. He brought them food and medicine. He listened to their problems and helped them find solutions. He told them, "You are not alone. I am your president, and I care about you." Many people cried tears of joy. They had never seen a leader like him. One day, President Traoré received a letter from Musa, the young boy from the prison. Musa wrote, "Thank you for believing in me. I want to go to school and help my family. Can you help me?" President Traoré was touched. He made sure Musa went to school. He visited him often and encouraged him to study hard. Musa grew up to be a teacher and helped many other children. President Traoré also helped Boubacar, the storyteller, start a radio show. Boubacar told stories of hope and courage to people all over the country. He became famous and inspired many people. Awa, the kind woman from the prison, opened a small clinic with the president's help. She cared for the sick and taught others to be kind. The story of President Traoré became a legend. People said, "He is the president who became a prisoner to help his people." His story gave hope to millions. It showed that one person can make a big difference. It taught people to be brave, kind, and never give up. Even after many years, people still remembered President Traoré's journey. They told their children, "If you want to be a good leader, you must walk in the shoes of the poor. You must listen to their stories and help them." The country became stronger and more united. People trusted their leaders and worked together to build a better future. President Traoré's story teaches us that true leadership is not about power or money. It is about caring for others, listening to their problems, and helping them find hope. It is about being brave enough to see the truth, even when it is hard. It is about never forgetting the people who need help the most. So, the next time you hear a story about a leader, remember President Ibrahim Traoré. Remember how he left his palace, lived as a prisoner, and changed his country forever. Remember that one act of courage can inspire a whole nation. And remember that you, too, can make a difference, no matter who you are. But the story does not end here. After President Traoré revealed his true identity, the prison guards were terrified. Some begged for forgiveness, afraid they would lose their jobs. But President Traoré surprised everyone. He said, "I do not want revenge. I want change. I want you to treat every prisoner with respect, as you would treat your own brother or sister." The guards were shocked. They had never heard a leader speak like this. Some of them even cried, promising to do better. President Traoré walked through the prison, shaking hands with every prisoner, listening to their stories, and promising to help their families. He asked each person what they needed most. Some wanted a chance to learn a skill. Some wanted to see their children. Some just wanted someone to listen. President Traoré wrote down every request, promising to do his best. He told the prisoners, "You are not forgotten. You are part of this country. Your voice matters." The prisoners felt hope for the first time in years. They started to believe that change was possible. President Traoré left the prison, but he did not forget what he had seen. He visited the families of the prisoners, bringing food, medicine, and hope. He met with judges and police officers, telling them what he had learned. He told them, "Justice is not about punishment. It is about fairness and second chances." Some people were angry. They said, "Why help prisoners? They broke the law." But President Traoré replied, "Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is what we do next. We must help people become better, not just punish them." His words spread across the country. People started to talk about forgiveness, second chances, and the power of kindness. Schools taught children about the story of the president who became a prisoner. Songs were written, and stories were told around the fire. The country began to change. Prisons became places of learning and hope, not just punishment. People who had lost hope found new reasons to believe. President Traoré's journey became a legend, a story that inspired millions. And every time someone asked, "Why did you do it?" he smiled and said, "To know the truth, you must walk in the shoes of the forgotten." If you think this story is over, you are wrong, because every day, somewhere in the world, Someone is inspired by the story of President Traoré. Someone chooses kindness over anger, hope over fear, and courage over silence. And maybe, just maybe, you will be the next person to change the world, one small act of kindness at a time.